Hi there, my name is Tamzin Taylor. I work in the Google Play Apps and Games Partnerships team in EMEA. I've been working to monetize mobile content with partners since 2001. And I can tell you that Play is a global marketplace platform for distributing software. Transactions are vital to any marketplace, so we take our platforms incredibly seriously. Our whole job is to enable developers like you to build and run global businesses. And we're extremely proud of what we've achieved. But we're still working incredibly hard to continue delivering business and spend to you. Now, monetization is driven by a number of best practices, including quality, design, and investment in using the great features that the Android platform offers, such as alpha beta testing, stage rollouts, and cloud test lab. You should also consider strategies to drive engagement, increase retention, and grow user lifetime value. And of course, consider using analytics to really know who your users are and be able to create optimal experiences for them. But in the next 20 minutes, I'm going to talk to you about how you can increase monetization using pricing best practices and some of the tools that we have at your disposal so you can succeed. There's big money to be made on Google Play. In fact, we paid out $7 billion to our developers last year. When you operate on Play, you have access to over 1 billion users and hundreds of millions of buyers. We've had huge teams spend years building gigantic reach into our commerce platform, in more countries, with more ways for users to pay. And in fact, we see a lift in incremental sales and new customers whenever we introduce a new form of payment. So the faster we unlock new forms of payment, the larger the pool of users who can purchase your app. We now support over 100 forms of payment across 152 countries, and we're constantly working on new payment partnerships, building more ways for your users to pay you, and offering locally relevant payment methods to convert more users. For example, we recently unlocked direct carrier billing in India. We are committed to make it easier and easier for your users to pay you. And we're seeing it pay off. So in Germany, for example, we saw a 70% increase on year-on-year buyer growth. And more developers are selling outside their home market. We saw a 38% annual growth in developers with primarily international sales. So given this increasingly global market, how should you price your top quality application? There are 5 key points to setting and managing your prices effectively. Matching the model to the market, considering purchasing power, considering price format preferences, taking into account audience segmentation, and regularly checking your prices. Top developers consider the pricing model for key markets and cultural expectations. For example, some prepaid markets have low credit card penetration and are less predictable, in which cases models like free, premium, or in-app purchase might be more relevant for them. And if considering a subscription model, your value proposition should give users a regular, fresh, ongoing content or functionality. Consider what people can afford. Last year in November, we lowered the minimum price in India from 50 to 10 rupees. Now, consider a can of Coke costs 10 rupees in India, roughly, whereas in the US it's $1. And the exchange rate today is 66 rupees to the dollar. So you can see there's a big difference in how much people are charged and their purchasing power parity. So it's important to give the right consumer the right price. Now, 4 weeks after we launched this change in the pricing, we saw take-up from 560 titles across 220 developers. After this 4-week period, we saw an 800% increase in revenue. And interestingly, 3/4 of the developers were from outside India. This really highlights the growth and internationalization of our ecosystem. One of our partners, Nova, dropped their price from 325 rupees to 15 rupees and saw a big impact. They saw a 136% increase in orders and 27% increase in revenue. Now, the best way to find out what purchasing parity differences there are across countries is to look at the Big Mac Index, which you can find on the Economist website. Many top partners are testing prices in overseas markets. Learning language app Busuu tested ABCD price tests across Russia and the US to find the optimal price for those different consumers. In the USA, it ended up being a 23% reduction, which resulted in 95% increase in conversion and 52% increase in ARPU. In Russia, it was different. The optimal price was 12% lower, which resulted in 15% increase in conversion and 17% increase in ARPU. So the caveat here is, don't take our word for it, test yourselves. Test your different prices to find the optimal point for increased conversion and incremental revenue in your different markets. Consider local price preferences and optimize the price format for your different markets. For example, in Korea and Japan, they prefer pricing which ends in whole rounded numbers, such as 1,000, 2,000, etc. Whereas in Australia, we prefer 199, 299. Now you can do this in the developer console. In fact, you can customize a price for every single market, and we'll take care of billing the users in their local currency. We think if users see an optimized price and a value offering that works for them, they're more likely to agree to purchase or subscribe to your offer. Now, users are not homogenous, and it's best practice to know who they are, their appetite to pay, and carve out different strategies to help them on their purchase journey. And we provide the tools to help you. There's great reporting in the developer console, and Google Analytics gives you the ability to identify and target different offers to different segments, all to help you increase conversion and ARPU. You really should use analytics to better understand your audience engagement, using KPIs like last visit, loyalty, and average tenure, to really help you improve purchase flows, develop user segments based on predictive lifetime value, and start targeting different segments with optimal offers. Wish did this and saw a 10% uplift from presenting different offers to highly engaged versus less engaged user segments. Finally, developers should regularly review and adjust prices, primarily for two reasons. Number one, to ensure you're still competitive with similar apps, and secondly, in response to changes in foreign exchange. For example, a developer who set their price in February 2014 and didn't change it for a year would have seen in February 15 that their gross revenue from Russia had dropped nearly 50%, severely impacting margin just from an exchange rate movement. So to recap the 5 best practices I've mentioned so far, they were matching the model to the market, considering purchasing power, consider user price format preferences, use audience segmentation, and regularly check your prices. Now, a running theme here is that not all users are the same. They have different price sensitivities. So how can you deal with this and increase monetization? I'll now touch on how you can use Admob to monetize across different types of users, and then I'll talk to the power of subscriptions before wrapping up. Admob is our industry-leading ads and mediation platform that's earned over 650,000 developers over $1 billion in the last 2 years. The growth statistics are impressive. This tells us that not only does Admob work well, but it tells us something about the ecosystem. Advertising is a significant part of monetization, and it's growing every year. In fact, Gartner predicts that by 2017, there'll be nearly 270 billion apps downloaded, the majority being free or freemium. Now, with this growth in free and freemium apps comes growth in mobile advertising. Now, I mentioned earlier that consumers differ between markets because of income or cultural preferences, and a monetization strategy may work in one market, but not in another. And we believe that a developer shouldn't be forced to choose between advertising or in-app purchase only. In fact, the best apps focus on users first, and you should be able to build monetization around the user. Admob can help you find the right monetization opportunity because it has a smart monetization engine, and this is a feature called in-app purchase ads. It helps promote in-app purchase items to users, so you can grow your in-app purchase revenue by automatically knowing which users are buyers and which are less likely to spend. It looks at spend behavior in your app and only shows ads to those less likely to buy, freeing up valuable impressions for you. Plus, it's integrated with Google Analytics. In-app purchase and ads are 2 great ways to make money, and with Admob, you can automate the presentation of the offer to match the user's likely spend behavior. Another model which works well for generating recurring revenue is subscriptions. Users and developers love subscriptions. They've become widely accepted and adopted across the music, movie, and TV industries, and this adoption is being seen in apps. For users, subscriptions mean no unforeseen chargeable events. They remove the fear and increase trust. The app is always there for you when you need it. For developers, subscriptions mean recurring revenue, which is great for cash flow. And did you know that subscriptions are the fastest growing business model on Play? Last year, they showed 2.5 times growth year on year. But why is this? Well, first of all, users are getting used to paying for digital content. And secondly, the overall standard of quality in Android apps is increasing leaps and bounds, led by industry-leading developers like yourselves. And many developers are seeing success. Busuu redesigned their onboarding flows and app design to better communicate their new subscription value propositions. After optimizing their subscription offers, they found their Android retention beat all other platforms, and their subscription revenue increased 125%, and the ARPU increased 86%. The New York Times implemented Google Play billing, replacing their traditional news publisher paywall. This resulted in a user's sign-up flow shortening from 2 minutes to 3 seconds, and a 125% increase in subscription conversion after the first month, and 254% increase year on year. Pandora also saw a 397% revenue increase through optimizing their conversions by offering a trial period. It's really important with subscription model to allow users to try before they buy. You can decide the length yourself, but show them the value to increase their likelihood of converting. Google offers heaps of functionality to build a successful subscriptions business. There are upgrades and downgrades to help ease the barrier of entry by offering multiple plans to users. There are grace periods for helping people when their payments declined. And there are goodwill credits, which can be used for promotion or complaints. And of course, it's all supported by deep financial metrics available in the developer console. And last year, we even added additional time periods, which now enable you to really create interesting, compelling offers based on weekly, monthly, quarterly, 6-monthly, and annual recurring billing periods. Google Play is a huge growing market, and pricing is one lever for better monetization. But it must be executed in combination with improvements in quality and by having a deep knowledge about your users. You can achieve success by following the 5 pricing best practices I mentioned today. Be flexible about your monetization model, consider using Admob to reach non-paying users, and utilize the new range of subscription models to grow your revenue annuity. Thanks for watching.